There are moments in history when the truth finally emerges from the shadows, and when it does, we can't just ignore it. The Pope recently announced something that has made the whole world stop and think: a one-world religion with new laws that could transform everything we know. Yes, that's right. They are no longer trying to hide this global agenda, and you need to know what is at stake. Because after all, we are talking about something that affects your faith, your beliefs, and even your freedom. Now, you may be wondering, why all the fuss over a world religion? Well, imagine a scenario where all beliefs are shaped under a single banner, where the traditions you have always followed are rewritten to fit a global vision. Many say this is a clear attempt to prepare the ground for something bigger, something that is not under our control. They are disguising these changes with beautiful words about peace and unification, but the truth may be much deeper than it appears. Let's go deeper into these events and understand what's really going on behind the speeches, the headlines, and the promises of unity. How does this all connect to the commandments we know? Are we heading, without realizing it, towards the times described in the prophecies? This is the time to be attentive, to open your eyes, and to understand what is really behind this global change. If you're curious to know more, and believe me, you'll want to know. Stay with us. The truth is beginning to be revealed, and the time to act is now. Many have wondered about the impact of the Pope's recent statements, especially those related to a one-world religion. This concept, which was announced with a unification speech, has generated curiosity and controversy, as it seems to echo rumors of a larger agenda aligned with the intentions of the Antichrist. To some, this sounds like an attempt to create global harmony, while others see it as a well-calculated move to weaken the roots of traditional faith. After all, the proposal for a single religion and new laws that accompany it raise more questions than answers, and in the midst of that, it's easy to feel a little lost. In this narrative, there is a constant presence of debate about the role of the ordinance and its global influence. Imagine, for example, a family that grew up practicing their rituals with dedication and now finds themselves facing changes imposed by an authority that they have always revered. The situation becomes even more complex when the promise of a new order becomes inseparable from political and ideological concepts that, until then, seemed distant from faith. The idea of a one-world religion is not simply a modern adaptation, but a revolution in fundamental beliefs. So what's behind all this? The figure of the Pope has generated fervent discussions, especially because his recent statements emphasize the need for global laws that coincide with a unified vision of the world. This opens the door to questions such as, how willing are we to accept changes that alter the very essence of faith? There are those who say that we are being pushed, little by little, to accept something that we did not choose from our hearts. However, what really awaits us is what we will see ahead as we explore the next steps on this journey. The announcement of this new world religion does not come alone. It carries with it significant changes to traditional elements, such as the Ten Commandments. The laws given to Moses have been known for centuries as the basis of morality and Christian faith. But surprisingly, there is an effort to reinterpret these commandments and adapt them into what some call the Green Commandments. For many, the idea of transforming sacred commandments into something focused on the environment is an unexpected step, almost like an attempt to replace divine principles with secular guidelines. From a practical perspective, imagine teaching your children the value of "thou shalt not steal" or "thou shalt not bear false witness," but now needing to explain that these principles have been reformulated to include care for Mother Earth. The logic of respecting nature is without a doubt essential, but should this replace or complement the original values? This change raises the question, are we placing environmental issues above the moral and spiritual issues that have shaped generations? At the same time, this emphasis on green commandments appears to be part of an effort to align faith with a global sustainability movement, something that has been echoed in UN meetings and other international forums. The connection between religion and global politics has never been more direct, and this raises concerns about how far we are straying from what is truly spiritual. But are these changes just a first step? We'll explore what exactly is being proposed with these new eco-friendly guidelines, so that you can understand more clearly and quickly the signs that surround us in challenging times like the ones we are living in. It is essential to be aware of the prophecies that are being fulfilled. Many still don't realize the magnitude of what is happening around us, and that's why I decided to offer something special to all channel subscribers, an exclusive digital ebook titled The Secret Behind the Holy Bible. This book is an unmissable opportunity to access impactful revelations about biblical prophecies that will open your eyes to current reality. Don't let this unique chance pass you by. The knowledge contained in this ebook could change the way you see events around you. The process to get your gift is quick and simple. Just click on the link available in the first pinned comment to download it immediately. But be careful, we only have a few units available and they are running out quickly. Don't delay your decision. Guarantee your copy now before the ebook is taken offline. Take advantage of this exclusive opportunity and be prepared for what's to come. Before continuing the video, an important message. Don't forget to secure your copy of our exclusive book. It is available in the first pinned comment of this video. Take advantage of this unique opportunity. The new Green Commandments are an attempt to rewrite the rules of faith in language more in line with contemporary concerns. These ecological commandments talk about responsibility towards the environment, sustainability, and the obligation to protect nature as part of our spirituality. Instead of just focusing on the relationship between humans and God, there is now an emphasis on how we relate to the planet. It seems like a profound change, almost a transition from vertical faith between man and the divine to horizontal faith between man and the earth. Practical examples include encouraging tree planting, water saving, and conscious consumption, which are now elevated to an almost sacred status. These new principles invite people to treat caring for the planet as a commandment, something that can be seen as positive but also raises the question of how far we can modify old values to accommodate modern needs. Imagine, for example, being taught that conserving the environment is as important as honoring your mother and father. It's a new way of thinking that, for many, is difficult to accept without reservation. And yet, there is a certain beauty in trying to unite all of humanity around a common purpose, even if that purpose is interpreted in divergent ways. Some see this as a step towards global unification. Others, however, see an antichrist strategy, disguised in a movement that apparently aims for the greater good. Thus, the line that divides sincere faith from subtle manipulation becomes increasingly blurred. But what does the Pope himself think about all this? Let's look at some of the most controversial statements he's made so far. In recent times, the Pope's statements have attracted many looks and generated a wave of debates. One of the most recurring criticisms is about his apparent change in focus. He has moved away from traditional biblical messages, prioritizing themes such as climate change and global issues. This change in discourse has left many Christians perplexed, especially those who cling to the immutable value of the Scriptures. In his speeches, the Pope has often spoken about the need for urgent climate action, suggesting that the world's salvation could be in our hands, something that, for many, almost sounds like a new form of redemption. Imagine a believer who has always gone to Mass expecting to hear words of spiritual consolation and divine salvation, but who is now faced with sermons about the importance of reducing carbon emissions and the dangers of pollution. While these are important topics, it's understandable that some people feel disconnected, as if something fundamental has been lost. The feeling is that the focus of faith, which has always been on the eternal and the earthly. Furthermore, there are those who argue that the Pope's ecological approach is in line with the idea of a one-world religion, an attempt to unite the world under a single set of principles, which do not necessarily reflect traditional Christian beliefs. For some, this is a strategic shift, but for others, it is a clear sign of the times. After all, what is the role of faith if it is not to lead human beings towards something greater, and not just towards practical and global issues? This tension between the spiritual and the secular is far from being resolved, and that is what brings an air of uncertainty. But how is the population reacting to these transformations? In the next topic, we will look at some of the interpretations and concerns that have emerged. Reactions to the changes proposed by the Pope have been as varied as they are complex. For some, there is a growing sense of alarm, a sense that faith is being hijacked in the name of political and global causes. These people see the Green Commandments and the emphasis on climate action as an attempt to obscure the true purpose of the Church, which has always been to spiritually guide its faithful. For others, these changes are a positive sign that religion is finally adapting to the challenges of the 21st century, dealing with concrete problems that affect the daily lives of all of us. Consider, for example, the figure of a devout Christian, someone who has always sought moral and spiritual guidance in the Church. When he sees his faith being shaped according to environmental and political agendas, this believer may ask himself, where is my place in all of this? Does this still represent what I have always believed in? These questions are not easy to answer and reflect an anxiety that grows as time passes, and these changes seem irreversible. It is a tension that for many is difficult to ignore, as it touches on the essence of their spiritual identity. Still, there are those who argue that the Church needs to change to survive, and that connecting with global issues is essential to maintaining its relevance. They believe that adapting the commandments to the modern era is a way to reach young people, to touch hearts that may never have been interested in traditional faith. But does this justify changing sacred faith centers? These concerns reflect not only theological questions, but also a struggle over what the Church should be for its followers. Future. And now, more than ever, the question remains, what else can change from now on? We have reached the end of this journey full of revelations and questions that challenge our understanding of faith and the world around us. From now on, it is up to each of us to decide how we will deal with these changes and how we want our faith to adapt or resist. Are we ready to accept a religion that claims to be unique and global? Are we ready to allow commandments to be changed and adjusted according to the demands of the world? Or should we raise our voices and defend the essence of what we believe? We have reached the end of this journey, full of revelations and questions that challenge our understanding of faith and the world around us. From now on, it is up to each of us to decide how we will deal with these changes and how we want our faith to adapt or resist. Are we ready to accept a religion that claims to be unique and global? Are we ready to allow commandments to be changed and adjusted according to the demands of the world? Or should we raise our voices and defend the essence of what we believe? These questions are not just rhetorical, they are a call to action. What do you think about sharing this information with others? Let's together raise a necessary and urgent debate about the future of our faith. Could it be that deep down, we are not being guided towards something we did not choose? Your opinion is crucial, and your voice needs to be heard. This is the time to question, to get involved, to not accept everything that is put in front of us without reflection. It's time to take control of what we believe and act consciously. If you want to continue exploring these topics and not miss the next revelations, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Don't be left out of this discussion. Together, we can uncover the truth and make informed decisions about the path we want to take. After all, understanding is the first step to transformation, and the transformation begins now. Don't forget to download our book, The Secret Behind Biblical Prophecies. There are already more than 500 copies sold, and we are at the last units, so don't waste time and enjoy. I guarantee that you will acquire a lot of knowledge after reading this sensational book, written with great care and love for all the subscribers of our channel, completely based on the Holy Bible. The link is in the first pinned comment.